Okay, this video is all about giving you feedback on how to improve your PE responses that you wrote for an extract from Frankenstein. I just want to start with recapping the question. I gave you an extract. It was quite a short extract. In the exam and assessment, it will probably be at least 3 times as long as this, which will mean that you will have at least 3 times as much to take quotes from. The downside to that is that you will have 3 times more language to understand. But here is our question. So Shelley presents the thoughts of Walton in the extract. Again, just before I get into the feedback, I want to go over the mark scheme. Our target was obviously eventually level 5, but level 4. To achieve level 4 needs to be focused and detailed. That means that we are answering the question, that detailed. Our analysis is built up, it's developed. We're analysing language, form and structure. Out of the 3, we are really focusing at the moment on language. We will have a look at structure, but language at the moment. The effect on reader is something that we can have a think about. Subject terminology, this is language features. Can we refer to them? Can we use them in our analysis? This word cohesive, I think it does relate to a couple of the responses that have been written. It's about linking the evidence together. It's about making sure that everything builds up to that point sentence, to your argument that answers the question. In general, here is the feedback that I would give. We need to develop our analysis more. So keywords and associations of those keywords for the more hidden meanings. I would like us to reference the reader, and I'll show you how to do that very simply, quite easily. Language techniques, again, this is something that we do need to refer to, and the structure of our response. Not analysing the structure of Shelley's writing, but to focus on the structure at times of how we embed quotes, so on and so forth. So I've just got some examples that I want to quickly go through. This is the first one. This is all to do with developing the analysis. So we've got the quotation that it's embedded. Because of winter, that he can't carry on with his voyage. Now this says that, it's winter, therefore the weather's bad, he can't carry on. Now that's not wrong, but can we go into then more depth with that? Could that be a metaphor for something else? Could it mean something else? Why has Shelley set this in the winter? So these are all the questions that we need to consider. Well done picking out a key word. But again, it's literal meanings here. The quote, fixed his fate, suggests he's concentrating on fulfilling his target. The word fate suggests that he's concentrating on his own destiny. Again, that's okay, but for level 4, it needs to be more detailed, which means it needs to be more developed. Again, this one I think does build on the other one. We've got a little structure error here where they've tried to embed the clause, but they've got a comma there which you don't need. They've got a this there which you don't need. The phrase shows is all you need. Again, they've picked out a key word, which is good. But once we start getting into it, the quote, the wind has been dreadfully fierce, that's the same quotation as before, foreshadows Walton's journey using pathetic fallacy. Great. The noun winter indicates he must be experiencing snow and cold weather now. So this person has got a great language feature, and then they're just giving me the obvious meaning. They haven't expanded on pathetic fallacy. They haven't explored winter in a bit more depth. So they've made an initial really good start, but then can we do a little bit more with it before we go on to the next quote? I've selected this one because I want us to focus just on how they explore the keywords to develop their analysis. So the first keyword they picked out is here. The word winter suggests that it has been a dark and cold time for him, but the word spring suggests that light will come, something good will come. Now that is hinting at a hidden meaning, that winter means bad, spring means good. Again, that is developing analysis in a detailed way. They've also referenced the reader. The reader can assume that something bad has happened to Walton and he can be on the trail to finding it. I'm not sure about the second half of that, but the attempt to reference the reader is good. They then pick out the word wavering, suggest that Walton is kind of scared of completing his resolution or carrying them on. Again, I think here we could have gone why. Why possibly? The reader thinks that he won't give up on his quest even if he is scared. Okay, so I think they're a good way to use keywords to extend our analysis. We're now starting to get into level 4 responses in terms of the technique. Again, what I really liked about this one is the keywords. They have put in a language technique very simply: the noun, the adverb. The noun resolution implies that Walton has thought this through and that small things won't bother him from reaching his goals. In addition, Shelley uses emphasis to show that Walton feels only good about his journey when she uses the adverb only to describe. Now, only is a small word that's very subtle. It's been put in there for emphasis, for exaggeration, as an adverb, but it's really quite a subtle thing the writer has done there. Now, for us to pick up on that really raises the level of our analysis. So that is, again, how we're developing our analysis with keywords, how we are developing it by referencing the reader, how we're developing it referencing language. This one I thought was a very good response in terms of how they relate the evidence together. So in level 5, it talks about cohesion, and cohesion here means, does it all kind of fit together? And I thought this was a really quite good response in terms of how it fits together. So I'm just going to read it from the first quote. The phrase wavering on my resolutions tells us that he's made a promise to himself that he will not rest until he has completed his goal. The noun resolution rates through a New Year's resolution. This shows the reader how determined Walton is to complete his goal. However, the quote, the writer had been dreadfully severe, shows us that his spirits have dampened his spirits, which may make him go back on the promise. Now, I'm not saying this is... Sorry, let me continue. The word winter connotes darkness, and this could be how Walton is feeling at that moment. This could make the reader feel confused because they might think that Walton will go home even though he is so determined to go to the North Pole. On the other hand, the quotation. Now, what I really like about this one is the analysis is okay. I wouldn't quite say it is level 4 analysis, but there is an attempt to get into level 4. But what I really like about it was the way that he uses connectives, however, on the other hand, to link all of that evidence together. And it really does give it a cohesive feel. It is a very good response in that sense. These last two, I would encourage you to pause the video. We will go over them in more depth, or we have gone over them in depth in lesson. Two very, very good responses in terms of how they develop the analysis. This got the best mark in the class, and I say it was probably the best response. Very well structured. The analysis is developed. The references to language are there. The references to reader are there. There's an attempt to go beyond just the obvious. And again, if we just have a look, on the contrary, the phrase "the writer has been winter has been dreadfully severe" is used as pathetic fallacy to present his feelings and emotions. So this is what the other person kind of did before, or the other response did, but this person's gone further. This shadows his deep feelings of deeper depression and darkness, much like the winter on a cold and gloomy day. There is the link. There is the language feature as analysis. The verbal phrase "dreadfully severe" suggests that, again, picking out a keyword or keywords, giving it a language feature and extending it. So I would encourage you for these last two to pause the video, have a read of them, have a look back at your own response and go, right, this is how I need to improve my own. So hopefully that will help you.